Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
All right, we're joined by GOP political strategist and insider and our friend, the host of the Grassroots Truthcast, Gene Valentino. Welcome to State of the Nation. How you doing today, man?
Well, I just love your show today, gentlemen. Holy schmoly. You had Rick Munn giving us a British European view, and then Randy Sutton nailed it. Soros, he's the one undermining the fabric of this nation. And that warrior mindset he talked about, I think, is spot on. All the issues that we can talk about in the next few minutes center around the perpetration of illegal takeover of this nation by a criminal, a Jew, George Soros, who certainly isn't acting like one, in funding these insurrections. Oh my, dare I use that word? These attacks on now over 20 universities around the nation. Just got word that there's 36,000 students at Columbia University in New York. But here's the surprise. 14,000 of them are foreigners here on visas. Now, how many of those people do you think were part of these insurrections, these illegal activities just in Columbia University alone? And why is it so orchestrated across all of these universities and colleges nationwide, as if it's being coordinated by a bigger group? Is there no small coincidence that this is going on nationwide I think it's time, we've said it in the past, step up and step out. And as he said, it's time to get on that warrior mindset Randy Sutton suggested. I think we all need to protect this nation, because I'm not appreciating Congress doing it. Democrats are having a meltdown with Biden's poor poll ratings. He's made, I found something very interesting. Biden has made over 146 mistakes since the first of the year. Everything he talks about has been, I don't know how many days it's going by. That means it's more than one mistake a day, if I'm doing my math correctly. But if the truth be known, it's more diversion, distraction, and deflection of your attention away from, and what's the hot item you guys just mentioned? Potential for early voting. We've got to do something. I'm being sarcastic. We have got to do something to eliminate this early voting, which is where most of the malfeasance was occurring in the past election. I think if we don't get a handle on some of the voting issues, and Pelosi and Schumer and the rest of the cabal are trying to take your attention away. It's not just about Biden's capacity, mental capacity anymore. It's about them distracting you to ensure that the next election goes the way they hoped it would. But the polls, as I said a minute ago, are showing that the Dems are having a meltdown. It's not going their way at all.
No, it's not. And I note with particularity with regard to your coordination comment that apparently, Gene, Dick's Sporting Goods, or maybe it was Walmart, or maybe it was REI, some manufacturer of outdoor gear apparently had a massive sale because all these protesters at all these schools in all these different states have the same green tents. Isn't that fascinating?
Isn't that fascinating, guys? The same, well, it ties into what we were saying. This is an orchestrated effort that some of these folks mixing with the students are not from the college or university at all and are orchestrating it. When the reporters do ask for some comments from some of these Hamas supporters, anti-Israel supporters, these folks are directing the reporter to a spokesman. Is the spokesman a college student, or is it part of the George Soros funded cabal that's being created? And what are we going to do? How about taxing these universities now? Because the parents are pulling these kids out of the universities anyways and going to smaller quality educational programs. What are we going to do with a Republican Congress, God willing, that gets in there and mandates legislation to put the pinch for taxation on these universities and their billions of dollars of trust funds? And what are we going to do to ensure more Americans get a chance to go into that university and not have and the average citizen in the United States not be forced to pay the increased taxes for Biden's continued forgiveness of loans on the students that are perpetrating these problems in the first place?
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we should just maybe we should have shut these universities down a long time ago. They're the ones that turned everybody into commies and radicals, So I would argue that, if I was some big donor, I would have started pulling out as soon as I saw them, advocating gene jab mandates, as soon as I saw them advocating for shutting the school down, as soon as I saw them sending young women off with with a check or a voucher to get an abortion or to get her tops off or something like that. I mean, the transgressions of the writ large of the United States universities has just been absolutely horrible. And I agree with you. I've seen these same Soros-style white buses, but I've also seen other white buses that are agitating on the other side. So I feel like we're all being sort of played against here because you've got, and some people are saying that you've got the ADL actually sending out similar white buses, and people, and we saw the same thing at J6. We saw the same thing during the Trump years. It's like feds and NGOs have agitators on both sides. And that's really effective at whipping everybody up into, looking only at the side that they're kind of biased towards. But it's scary to think that a place where you're paying all this money to send your kids to get a higher education, that there are government and non-governmental organizations running psyops, dangerous psyops on those kids. There's snipers out there, there's mass casualty units, there's AR-15s and tear gas. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my time. I have to look back to before I was born to like Vietnam era to see something like this.
Yeah, well, we saw the same thing of the Vietnam War protests on campus. It was exactly the same. It was outside agitators. And Brian, you're 100% correct. That is how our government, the CIA, was able to run a color revolution in Ukraine in 2014 and instigate the Maidan massacre. The police thought that the protesters shot at the police. The protesters thought the police shot at the protesters. And it was a sniper up at a nest. And I think I know how they figured out where they could get one up there. It ended up in a bloodbath that changed the regime in Ukraine in 2014.
Yeah. Mayor Adams just mentioned on national news for the New York City, hey, mom and dad, make sure your son and daughter at the Columbia University are in safekeeping because as if to warn the public that something's about to happen. Nothing's happened yet, but the college professor the college president that has done absolutely nothing. What a disappointment. She's turned around and trying to negotiate with these people. Unconfirmed report from CBS News, and it's not confirmed, so I lead with that point. This is unconfirmed, that the Biden administration is considering a legal path for Palestinians coming into the United States to jumpstart the immigration process as legal citizens. This means that we'd be taking the Palestinians in the Gaza region who were refused access into Egypt to the south and Iran to the north, are now being considered as potential refugees and a pathway for citizenship here in the United States. Now, if that has any truth to it, this is an absolute overtaking of our nation, complementing the confusion Soros is stirring, to your point, Timothy, where there, and Brian, with agitation on both sides of the issue to stir the pot. It was a Kent State, Haight-Ashbury issue from earlier days where the issue became blurred by both sides of the fence, bringing up issues that got buried in minutia and were not working when they were not working towards the greater good. All of a sudden, their rights weren't the issue. They were espousing causes that got blurred, that were always in our Constitution for protection against for all of us anyway. Just amazing. Keep your eye on it. And if I may, something just came to my mind a little while ago. You may have remembered a conversation we had months back about Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. And I kind of said, well, boy, I wish the two of them could figure out a path to working it out together. I don't know. They were pretty vicious against each other in the primaries up till when DeSantis backed out and came back to Florida. But I must tell you, there's a pathway here I see now where Ron DeSantis could be the VP choice by Donald Trump. Just a guess on my part, but you heard it here first. I never thought it was going to happen months ago, especially when Nikki Haley was in there stirring the pot. But I see a pathway now for Ron DeSantis being a pick for Donald Trump as VP. And it might be a good perpetuation of a presidency with the policies of the Trump administration for 8 years beyond Trump's second term.
All right. Wow. Okay. You heard it here first on State of the Nation from Gene Valentino, who can be found at genevalentino.com. And of course, check out the Grassroots Truthcast. We recommend it. Gene, we'll look forward to having you back on again real soon.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks again.
Absolutely. This is State of the Nation on today's News Talk, TNT.
Don't go yet. Enjoy this free bonus episode now.
All right, we are joined by Gene Valentino, host of the Grassroots Truthcast. Now, Gene, my goodness, we got a clip we got to show you. It's been it's been a dumpster fire of a day with regards to the Trump trials. Luke, go ahead and run this.
Stormy, Trump and his legal team have been trying to block you, actually, from appearing at his upcoming hush money trial in New York. He has denied all wrongdoing, of course, but the judge overseeing it just ruled that you and former fixer Michael Cohen are allowed to testify in the case. Are you ready to take the stand against Donald Trump? And I don't want you to talk about what you're going to say or anything about the trial. That's my lawyer hat on. But are you ready?
I'm absolutely ready. I've been ready. I'm hoping with all of my heart that they call me because, as I showed on the stand against Michael Avenatti, I don't need someone to speak for me. Mm-hmm. And I relish the day that I get to face him and speak my truth.
Ask and you shall receive, Stormy. How'd that work out, Gene?
Reminds me of a joke. I'm going to paraphrase Rodney Dangerfield. I went into the courtroom to pay a ticket and a stormy broke out. Oh my God. I just, it's beyond getting upset anymore. Stormy Daniels is a fraud. And more importantly, she is using the media and the system to promote a personal gain. I don't mind anybody here promoting themselves and having a personal gain. We're all promoting ourselves. But I'm not going to gain and promote myself at your expense. I'm going to do it based on my own credentials and credibility. She has no credibility. She signed a document in 2014 or 15 saying that this alleged sexual tryst between her and Donald Trump never existed. Time out again. What does that have to do with any charges against Donald Trump? What's going on here? DA Alvin Bragg is throwing everything into the fan and throwing it against the wall to see what sticks now. And the only thing that's sticking is increased poll numbers for Donald Trump and an increased political campaign war chest. She should be ashamed of herself. The people she's been associated with, Avenatti and now convicted felon Cohen, are people who were, let's just say, compromised unto themselves. I don't know how a jury looks at anything these people are saying with any sense of credibility. Oh, by the way, she still has a judgment against her for almost $500,000 if you include judicial interest on a claim that was adjudicated against her prior with Donald Trump winning. She owes Donald Trump almost $500,000 in legal fees that has not been paid, and the way it's going may not be paid. And even at that time, the judge acquiesced and went easy on her on what the total amount of those legal fees were that were never paid by her back to Donald Trump for the legal representation Donald Trump had to pay for to defend himself in an earlier claim from her, which he won. So I don't know. I think, you know, guys, it rubs me sore because I'm a former political elected official. I ran for office. I won 2 terms, 8 years, and I had the ilk of bad behavior against me as well. I had political opponents claiming that I was involved in an extramarital affair, and that was embarrassing. By the way, it was untrue. And it was lodged against me in a very vile way. And I knew what I was getting into when I got into politics. But gents, what I didn't expect is what it did to my family. And it
well,
it
and that
hurts.
actually is the biggest reason that Donald Trump is going to win this case. And the Stormy Daniels testimony today was completely superfluous. There was absolutely no reason for her to take the stand today. She provided nothing new to the persecutors. In fact, when she said on The View, she wanted the opportunity to tell her truth. Toots, there is no your truth. There is only the truth. And Gene, with regard to shame, these people have no shame. Look what, you know, there's a story that you just shared proves it, but it also, that's Donald Trump's trump card. There's an existing rationale for that payment, and that was to save his family embarrassment. Okay, so that is the get out of jail free card there. But you see, the real answer here, Gene, is Donald Trump is a time traveler. He paid in 2017 Stormy Daniels to sign the document in 2014 in order to rig the 2016 election. You see how that works? That right there is Alvin Bragg's case. In 2017, he paid Michael Cohen to pay Stormy Daniels to sign a document in 2014 to improperly affect the 2016 election. You can't make up this level of idiocy.
No, it all goes to the main point you guys have always talked about, and it's the lawfare issue. You know, using lawfare constructed by the main justice system, the federal justice system, and the FBI, and using it as a political tool against candidates, earnest candidates, worthy candidates, for the American citizens to decide whether they want to have represent them. That was, remember the Crossfire Hurricane investigation? It became, what was it? The special counsel Mueller investigation, which became the impeachment investigations, which became the Durham investigation, which became the January 6th investigation, which became what we see now as the Jack Smith debacle of investigations, both in New York City and down in Florida. Oh, by the way, Judge Eileen Cannon just indefinitely postponed the documents case down in Florida because of superfluous information, as you say, which seems to indicate that there's been a breach in the chain of custody of the documentation that Trump had in good care, in good custody, and in good control. In the same newscast, we see Biden out there with crap all over the place in his garage, and everything's overlooked because the poor man's of age. Are you kidding me? Where are we going as a nation? We have to make sure that we have good people still willing to step up and serve this nation. But why would they if their entire family and personal lifestyle? I don't care if Trump had a relationship with this Stormy Daniels. I don't care if it's true. I don't care if it's not true. All I want to know is Trump able to do a good job for this nation? And are you telling me, by the way, it happened when he wasn't a politician, but are you telling me none of these politicians in the circle of the swamp haven't had similar events that they've been involved in that they'd like to keep from their family as well, that they are guilty of? We are a nation that has to get away from this notion of selective prosecution for political gain, or we will fail. D.A. Bragg is reaching way out on a limb to go after Trump at this point on this alleged sexual tryst issue, which has no basis in fact and has been denied by the accuser in writing. And now we have a situation where Trump, I think the American people, the most important part of this story, the American people see it. And what will the Democrats do between now and November to queer the election and cause Trump not to be our next president of the United States?
Yep, these are the questions, Gene. My goodness, Gene. You know, we got about 1 minute left, but I have to also kind of call out Fox News here. They seem to be completely indulging in all of the superfluous talking points and not having discussions like you're having with us here, like this one. Trump defense press Stormy Daniels on selectively telling Trump's sex story when she can make money. And this one, Stormy Daniels defends calling Trump, quote, orange turd, unquote, refusing to pay court-ordered fine. It's amazing to me the milquetoast take that Fox News puts out there to its viewers and readers.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I don't appreciate any of the media right now because of the one side or the other side. We need media out there and streaming services like yours, like TNT, where you're just reporting the facts. Okay, you give me license to then take those facts and give you my flavor of an opinion, but we don't discount the facts. Here's one fact. DA Alvin Bragg must be going nuts, wondering if he's going to see Donald Trump in orange going in and out of jail, but it won't matter. What backfired on Mr. Bragg is that the American people see through his charade and are going to vote Trump in because they see that the deep state, whether it's a discussion overseas on various allies we have relationships with, or right here within our border, we have to get rid of the deep state funded and operated by George Soros, which has perpetrated a national fraud, a disaster against us. We need true leaders to remedy it and do an enema over there on all three branches of our government.
GeneValentino.com. Thank you so much, Gene. Appreciate you. And of course, check out the Grassroots Truthcast with Gene Valentino. We'll talk to you again real soon, Gene.
Critically analyzing national affairs. This is State of the Nation with Timothy Shea and Brian McClain on today's News Talk TNT.
Hi, friends. Gene Valentino from the Grassroots Truthcast. You've got to join us not only for the great shows and entertainment and guests, but you got to join us because our sponsorship is growing And it would mean a lot to them, not to mention me, if you come on board. And the one we're featuring this week is Luis Sanchez from the Cigar Shop. He owns a company called La Tradicion Cubana. The Cigar Shop, Miami, Florida, since 1995. This Luis is really one heck of a guy. He's determined to manufacture cigars based on an unprecedented excellence in quality using old-fashioned Cuban methods. The cigar isn't always cheaper, but it is better. And if, like you're drinking a fine wine, you got to have a fine cigar, look for Luis Sanchez at the Cigar Shop. He helped me find a nice Connecticut wrapper with a Nicaraguan blend. And this cigar has become not only my enjoyment, but this cigar has also become my brand and my marketing tool. If you notice up close, we've got a little label he's put on there for me. And that's my website, genevalentino.com. It's at the Grassroots Truthcast. Now, here's the deal. You go to thecubanshop.com, find the cigar you want, and Luis will throw in the labels for free. But you got to tell him Gene sent you. Tell Luis Gene sent you. The labels are free. These are $50 to $100 values based on the count. And you can get this to become part of your branding experiment. I'm using this with my guests on the Grassroots Truthcasts. This could be your brand on your product, your service, anywhere in the world. Look for Luis Sanchez at thecubanshop.com. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your smoke.